Now, here's the hosts of Top Story, Kelly Klass and Jill Skeen.
Good morning to you two. 7360300 is always the number to call. Good morning, Jill.
Good morning, Kelly. Hump day.
Hey, I'll tell you what. It's hump day.
We don't have anything,
Jill,
so...
Jill. What day is it?
I'm not going to say. I'd like my hump day bump back. Thank you.
Okay, well, I'll get right on that.
You aren't. You haven't.
I'll get
you
right
won't.
on that.
People have lost their theme songs. You don't care.
You know, I get in here.
These are empty promises.
I got
empty
other
promises.
priorities. I'm sorry. I don't have time to
gosh.
track down your theme songs.
Hey, it's not all mine. It's our guests. They look forward to it.
I'm a busy man. I have things going on here.
Well, speaking of busy, we had a lovely lunch yesterday with
did.
Frank Pepper.
I enjoyed that thoroughly.
Yes, very interesting man.
Yep.
And it was a beautiful day.
We found out a lot about hydrogen peroxide.
We did.
Yeah.
Amazing stuff.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah, so.
And you had a delicious lunch.
I did. What did I
You went
have?
out on a cliff.
I had the
beef medallions with pasta.
Yeah, what she said.
I have to say
it was delicious.
It smelled really good. It smelled like it had really good flavor.
Yeah, it did. It was wonderful.
And Frank almost ordered that, but he went with the beef and green chili panini.
Yes.
And he enjoyed that as well.
This was all at the Canyon Crest Dining and Event Center.
Yes.
Frank was the free lunch winner with Kelly and Jill for the month of August. And we're going to be pulling another name out of the hat next Wednesday.
I know.
For September already.
So it was lovely. We had someone waved at us in the limo. So maybe it was one of
our
listeners.
That's right. Going up when we were heading back, going up Washington Street.
Yeah.
A gentleman was driving by in his car and he waved. I don't know that he saw that we saw him, but we did. So.
I know. You can see out, but you can't really see in. So it was nice.
Have those tinted windows.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, it was lovely. If you haven't won, you've got to try. Play the word of the day. Go to newsradio1310.com. Play everything and enter.
Yeah. Build up those points.
Now
you can enter for the first time without any points.
Yes.
But after that, then you need points to enter more and more and more.
And if you've entered in the past months, it doesn't carry over. You have to re-enter in each month.
So
I'm sorry about that.
I know, it's just the rules.
But actually, it was really nice. We had a nice time.
The weather was great. View
Lovely
was great.
Man.
Food was great. Service was great.
Yeah, it really is nice.
What's our waiter's name? Michael. Yeah, he's a nice guy.
Such
Very nice
a nice, attentive waiter, and the chef comes out, not just for us, but for everyone.
Yeah, for everybody.
And
that's cool.
If you haven't been there in a while, you need to go back to Canyon Crest.
So, another busy day coming up. We have Dr. Zygmunt Santo coming up at 8:40. He's running for the CSI Board of Trustees.
Yep.
And we will have him at 8:40. At 9 o'clock, it's the State of the City, and I believe we have Twin Falls City Councilman Greg Lanting today, trading off from last week. He was supposed to be here last week. He had some things going on, so Chris Talkington is in. So it's my understanding it'll be Greg Lanting. If not Greg Lanting, it'll be one of the others.
That's right.
But we're going to ask him about the water break, and if that thing is getting all fixed up. We got some renovations going on at the wastewater treatment plant. Kind of get an update of what's going on in the Twin Falls City.
Yeah, I saw it. I saw the report this morning. Wow. I think it was a 30-inch water pipe.
A 30-inch.
Not a 24-inch.
Bigger every time you hear about it, doesn't it?
30-inch with a 10 pipe. They're not sure what happens. They're going to look, and you're like,
well, it's kind of, and we'll bring this up with Greg or whomever is in, a brand new pipe. It's only, a couple of years old, and it broke.
Yeah.
Now, we've got pipes underground in the downtown section of Twin Falls that have been there for 100 years.
Yeah.
That haven't broken yet, and they're going to replace those. Maybe we should take those out and put those in place of the new pipe. I don't know.
I know, you have to wonder, for over 100 years, they've been holding up pretty well.
Yeah,
what's the difference?
What's
the difference?
So anyway, we'll try to find out about that, because it's just kind of a curiosity. Why after only 2 years? Because that's the second break. The first one they had was down by Glanbia, just down the street on Washington. Remember a couple of years ago that broke. Almost flooded Glanbia.
Yeah.
So.
And that was the road they worked on for months.
I know. Yeah, exactly. So I don't know.
Hey, I went to the superintendent debate last night.
Oh, yes. How was that? I was not able to watch that. I had so many things going on yesterday.
Well, good thing, because it's on tonight at 5 and tonight at 9. You couldn't watch it live.
Good. All right.
So
it
is
I'll have
on
a second chance then.
KMVT, I think, at 5 o'clock tonight, 5 to 6, and then it's on Fox, I believe, from 9 to 10.
All right.
So anyway, check it out. It was interesting. There wasn't a big attendance, which you feel badly about, but you think more teachers or more people would be there. But, people were there, and it was
But if they
interesting.
know they can watch it later,
I think that's part of the problem. But, it's interesting because I thought things that happen in person, don't. But, I have to say, it was interesting. You hear different comments. And Sherry Ibarra, I mean, she seems personal enough. It was like she didn't have a lot of detail. She used a lot of the same word, like high quality a lot, and her thing's been proven, but how's it been proven? She didn't have a lot of specifics, where Jana Jones, I felt, had more specifics. And it was interesting because as you hear stuff in the crowd as I was sitting there, I actually overheard someone say, oh, it sounds like she's running for Miss Idaho. Or two women were walking out and I was behind them and they said, I don't even know I don't know what she stands for. She didn't really say anything. And I said, do you mind me asking who you were talking about? And it was Sherry. So, it seemed like there wasn't a lot of specifics, and that's what it felt like to me. You didn't really know what she stood for or could name a lot of things. And even when they asked her about, did you read the budget? She didn't really say if she read the budget, where Janice said, I've read this budget, I've read the proposed budget. She just said what the budget comprised of, and you're like, well, okay. So I don't know. And when she was asked about, this is a startling statistic. 59% of our high school graduates that go on to college have to take remedial courses. And they asked her about that. And she said, well, I'd like to focus on the positive. Okay, well, the positive is only 41% don't have to. You know what I mean? Like, that's the issue. That's a huge issue for 59% to have to take remedial classes. I mean, to me, you shouldn't get into college if you can't pass the test, you can't get in, or you don't have the grades.
This is kind of the disadvantage that should I say new candidates have. They have no experience in campaigning, and they really don't know what to expect. And I know Sherry, and I don't know if she, I think she has the qualifications. I think
she has all these degrees, and
she might be one of those who has the capability and the qualifications. She just doesn't have the ability to tell everybody.
She can't articulate it.
And can't campaign, and which is really too bad, because I have seen some presidential candidates in the past who had that same problem. You knew if they could get elected, they could probably fix everything.
But you got to get elected.
They did not have that suave and debonair ability to get up there and wow the public, which is too bad.
Wowing it was just more specifics, We have another statistic, 67% of our fourth graders are not reaching the literacy level. 67% of our fourth graders. I mean, our school system is in trouble, and we have to find someone who can really deal with it. But, she has 2 more debates. Hopefully she's learned from this one. But honestly, people walked away saying, I don't really know what she stands for.
I have to tell you, to tell you the truth, okay, I'm not going to vote for somebody just because they have an R behind their name or whatever. Mm-hmm. I haven't made up my mind yet. But I will tell you this. When I read about it this morning, when Jana Jones said, one of her high priorities, and I understand this is kind of a weird thing to talk about, but it seems like her big priority is getting more spending in education so they can give the teachers a raise, when everybody is bringing up this deal that, well, we're spending less on students per student than any other state in the union. So where should that money go? Should it go for the students for textbooks and things like that, or should it go for the teachers for higher pay? Now, I understand
when you talk about if you can't find good teachers, and Sherry Ibarra said this, you need good teachers to be in a classroom, and her sense of what's going to attract teachers to Idaho when the surrounding states pay more and value their level of education is a great work environment. Well, you know what? Without a good teacher, really, how many people survive and even blossom because they have a good teacher? If you can't attract good teachers, and I'm sorry, part of that is salary. You shouldn't have to move back to Idaho and work and have to take a huge pay cut and barely make it because you're a teacher. I mean, that's going to attract, and teachers are leaving the state. They have a huge
I understand
right.
that. And
I don't fault them for that. Get the best if you can pay for it.
I've been married to a teacher, and she spent 27, 28 years teaching. So I understand the salary thing, but I will tell you this, and I'm sure that this is not only true in Idaho, it's true in any other state. teachers are not in it for the money. They are in it for the mission. And teachers, in other words, paying more for a good... look at some of our college professors. They are garbage crap. And they get how much money? They get $200,000-$300,000 a year. I have seen some teachers who are just barely getting by, and they're the greatest teacher alive.
That was not her first priority. And when I read that, I'm like, that's not the first thing that she said. That I think that, there were other things like, proficiency and literacy but you know what? I don't think because you're a teacher, you have to take the bottom of the barrel of a paycheck. And that's what's happening. And that's, people are demonizing teachers across this country. The fact that they have a union. We all know they give their hearts out. We all know it's because they love these kids. And
I agree.
you know what?
I agree.
But I think if you want to retain teachers and actually have the students stay in Idaho, you know what? That's a component too. But that was not her main mission. And that, I believe, was not fair to highlight that in that article. There were so many other things that she talked about, but she just seemed like she could handle the job. And I'm sorry, Sherry just seemed like it was just a step above her, honestly. She might be a great teacher. She has all these degrees. Fine. I think that's fine. But she just didn't translate that as to how she could handle that job. Yeah. And anyone who went there, and when you watch it, fine. And it's not because she's a Democrat or a Republican. Because as Janice said, there's no DNRs on kids' heads. It shouldn't even be a political position, honestly.
7360300, top story. You're on the air. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. I just wanted to throw my 2 cents in. When I was in school, which was many a year ago, teachers were teachers. Now, the kids that are out there, they get so many days off for a teacher in service, a teacher this, a teacher that. They get more days off than you could think of. And teachers, they used to stay after school and grade papers. Teachers are gone by 3:30. I was against giving teachers a raise. I think the money should go to the kids. Teachers, the good ones, they're there, but they're not doing it to get another $1,000 a year. They're doing it for the kids anyhow. These teachers get way more perk benefits than they need as it is. I would not give them any more raise. That's just my 2 cents.
All right. Thanks for those comments. After being married to one for many years, when you say they're gone at 3:30,
that is not true.
It may be true for a few, but for the good teachers, that is not true.
But they also bring the papers home and grade it at night.
I'm going to brag a little. I'll tell you what. When my wife was a teacher, we barely had a life because just as you said, every night, my wife would bring home papers, and I mean piles of papers, and grade those things until 10 or 10:30 at night.
Right.
You try to carry on a conversation with her, and you couldn't do it because she was grading papers.
Right.
She did that every stinking night and on weekends.
Right. And they don't stay at the classroom to do it. They might go home, but they take that work with them. How do you think they're getting your scores?
Let me tell you something. Teachers are worth much more than what they're getting paid. They're worth much more respect than what they're getting, and I know because I've been married to one.
Yeah.
So unless you've had some personal experience with a teacher, you really can't say much. This is Top Story, and we'll be right back. 7360300 is the number to call, and at Stanley and Company, don't forget they have the low and honey loader. Now, not everybody is going to be in the market for a low and honey loader, which loads all types of manure, liquid, frozen, and dry, up to 7 miles an hour. If you live in town or something like that, maybe have a couple of dogs and a cat, you probably have no use for a low and honey loader.
I don't know. It depends on how big your dog is and how many cats.
Well, I suppose that could be true. But if you have a large feeding operation with lots of animals, and you know that manure can be an issue on your place sometimes, you might want to look into the low and honey loader. And before you plunk out the money for one, you might want to see one in operation just to see how they work. See if they are actually going to solve your issues. Get a hold of Pat Hartzell with Stanley and Company, and he can hook you up with one of these so that you can see them in operation. You can talk to the owner. You can look at them up close. You can ask questions. You can analyze them. See if what you need is going to be solved by buying one of these. Pat Hartzell's number is 280-1167. That is his personal phone number, 280-1167. This is Top Story, 7360300. Top Story, you are on the air.
Good morning.
Good morning. I just was calling in to comment about that previous caller with school teachers. Being married to a first grade school teacher, father of 5, I have a child at Perrine, a child at Sawtooth, O'Leary, and Twin Falls High School. it's not about the pay for these teachers. My wife leaves at 6:50 every morning and gets home at 5 o'clock every day.
Mm-hmm.
But her work day doesn't stop then,
and
does
it's back
it?
to doing a little bit more schoolwork.
Yep.
And I also want to bring out the point that every day she's stopping at the dollar store, she's stopping at a different store to buy supplies that she needs to teach those kids in first grade because the school doesn't supply them.
Right.
So just to bring that point out, that these teachers aren't leaving at 3:30. They're not showing up at 8:05 when the bell rings.
Right.
They're there an hour before school. They're there an hour after school. They're working at 10 o'clock at night doing papers.
Yeah.
And having kids in all these different schools in Twin Falls and knowing most of these teachers, the vast majority are that same way.
I know.
I agree.
Yeah.
They're
the unsung heroes of our community.
They really are.
And they will do anything for their kids. And you see that, you know.
Thanks for those comments.
Yeah.
7360300, top story, you're on the air.
Yeah, I guess I'm going to go down the same road kind of there. I think we have a problem with priorities in this country and in the local community. I think that we ought to be paying to the point that we have teachers competing for those jobs. I think that if we had that, we would have the greatest teachers, and I'm not knocking what we have at all, but we would have the greatest teachers, and the students would do better. And I just think that I think we ought to be paying them more because I totally agree that they're worth way more than what they're getting paid.
And you think in our society, I know that's a great comment, but think of our priorities in our society, our professional athletes.
Oh, I know.
Millions.
I was going to bring that up.
It's crazy what they make. Yeah, they might have a shorter career, but still, even the millions over their career is way beyond what they could make, not to mention the sponsorships. I mean, Tiger Woods signed a $40 million sponsorship before he even played professional golf with Nike. Hello, 40 million. But you add that with these teachers and, and you think our priorities are screwed up. They are.
I agree.
In this society.
I agree.
Entertainers and athletes.
Yes.
There you go. That's all I can say.
I know. And at least I could really tick a lot of people off.
You could really
here.
let it loose.
You let me
Kelly.
get into the entertainment world when you have worthless pieces of garbage like Kim Kardashian and what's his name, Bieber, and all of these. They think they are so special, and the people just flock after them like they are royalty. And they make these millions and millions of dollars. They've never worked a day in their life. They don't know what it's like. To have to scrape by for a living, and they're the ones making the money. And then we have the teachers, and so many parents expect the teachers to fix all the problems that they create at home.
I know.
Do not call me and start bad-mouthing teachers because you're talking to the wrong person.
I know.
7360300, top story, you're on the air.
Good morning.
Good morning, Kelly and Jill. I feel that parents should have a choice of private school over public school. Your private school teachers make less than the state teachers do. They don't have a union, and they still teach their children, as I was taught when I was in school. They don't have all these special interests and things like that. I had 4 girls. 2 of them went to public school. 2 of them went to private school. And the teachers at the private schools acted the same as the teachers did when I was in school back in the 60s. And like I said, they learned, the 2 girls that went to private school come out with A's and B's, understood what was going on. The public school students, they still question a lot of stuff and want to know why they didn't learn that in school.
Well, you do have a choice. People do have a choice. You can send your kid to private school, and you can send him to public school. The deal is you have to pay.
I know. I went to a parochial school in my first 5 years, and when I left there and went to a public school, which was Union School, which is now the museum in Curry, there was so much stuff that they had already covered that I had not a clue about.
I know.
And the teacher, Mr. Miller, had to take me aside and show me some of this stuff because I had never learned it in the parochial school, which was a private school. It was St. Ed's.
Yeah.
It was St. Edward's, okay?
There you go.
So anyway, I'm sure things have changed by now, but we'll be right back. 7360300 is the number to call here this morning on Top Story. We got a couple of callers waiting. We have Dr. Zygmunt Santos from, he's running for CSI Board of Trustees. We have him coming up in the next segment. And then at 9 o'clock, we have State of the City. Twin Falls City Councilman Greg Lanting. Wanted to tell you, too, that the folks at Canyon Pawn want you to come on down and see them. I talked to Dave Hansen here a while back, and he's opened this new store. It's the newest pawn shop in town, and they got all sorts of stuff. I mean, you go in today, you see interesting stuff. You go in tomorrow, and you see different interesting stuff because of the nature of a pawn shop. So, actually, it's fun to just go through and walk through the store and see what they have.
We still have to do lunch and do that,
I know,
Cal.
we do. I agree. So, give him a call at 933-2600. He's got guns, and he's got more guns. So, He's got a huge pawn shop full of stuff there that he wants you to stop by and take some of it off of his hands, all right? That's on Shoshone Street, right across from Will's Toyota, Canyon Pawn. 7360300 is the number to call, talking about teachers. How did we get on that subject? Top story.
I don't know.
You were on the air. Good morning.
Yes, I wanted to comment on their teacher salaries, and we sometimes forget that the money comes from the taxpayers, and the taxpayers in Idaho are at the bottom of the ladder salary-wise also. So they don't pay as many taxes, so there's not as much money to pay our teachers, and I think that is where some of our problem lies. But I do feel so bad for teachers because kids are not being taught discipline. They're not taught respect for their elders and for authority, and they have to teach some of these ruffians.
That's right.
I don't know how they do it, and God bless them first. We're sticking it out.
I hear you. I am with you. My wife always had a good rapport with the kids, and she very seldom had discipline issues like that. She's kind of one of those rare teachers where all the kids just kind of like, Yeah. So they didn't really give her a lot of trouble. But I know some of these poor teachers just go through hell, and you're right. The teachers can't teach them. Well, the parents send them to school thinking, well, we'll let the teacher teach them respect and discipline.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way.
No,
So,
I just lost my train of thought. But the thing of it is like, when you look at these things, but then you see, our governor wasting money on frivolous lawsuits when they're paying their directors of different departments over $100,000 for doing nothing. Do you know what I mean? Like, the priority's bad, not to mention how we could get more tax revenue in the state just by internet sales. I mean, if you had your priority as education, it would be one thing. But to see the results that we have with our students here, and you're trying to bring business into Idaho, and you see that 59% have to take remedial classes, or 67% of fourth graders aren't at their reading level, would you bring your kid here? I'd have to question that. So we're hurting ourselves and our business. So
7360300, Top Story. You're on the air.
Hi, I just have a couple of thoughts. I think that everyone in general would agree that teachers need to be paid more.
Yeah.
But I think we need to try something a little different than we have before, because, if there's not more money, we need to figure out where we can move some things around so we can pay teachers better. And I think part of that needs to start within school districts themselves. So we need to figure out what's our main priority and where are we spending our money. And I think we need to start there. And you think about how much money is put into the unions. And anyways, that's another issue, but that's controversial. But also I think that for the most part, teachers are good. And so I think we need to get rid of tenure so that, when there is a bad apple in there, they can be gone, and make it a little bit more like a business so there's more competition, pay the teachers more, we'll get, more people coming into the profession, and it'll be more competitive. And I think that we need to try something a little different than we have in the past, because nobody really wants taxes to be raised.
No,
Yeah,
but there is money on the
that is
table
true.
that you could pick up, like the internet sales tax, which we now hear is $30 to $65 million figures that people pay in other states. That could be brought into our state, and we've ignored that for 6-7 years.
Well, one of the things, too, that's going to come up for discussion, it has to someday soon, is consolidation.
Right.
When you have these little tiny school districts that have high-paid principals and
Administrators.
administrators
Yeah.
and superintendents, when that could actually be taken up into another larger school district. I mean, that's something we're going to have to talk about and look at. We got to
Okay.
see if we can get one more caller. Top story, you're on the air.
Good morning.
Good morning. Second time call this morning. I
That's
listen
okay.
to you all the time and never call in. You
Well,
got
thanks
me
for
fired up
calling.
this morning. Here's another point that, we talked about kids not meeting their grade levels or reading levels, is what about the parent responsibility? My wife that teaches, it sometimes amazes me how many of these kids show up and parents don't take the time to sign the agendas that go back to schools. They ask parents to read for 20 minutes worth of their kids and sign off on it. It doesn't happen. There's a lot to do with parent responsibility that I don't know how you get that going, but that's a big part of this too.
You're right. You're absolutely
It
right.
is true.
And a lot of parents they don't raise their kids. They just allow them to grow up, and then when they get into school, it's up to the teachers to fix everything that they didn't do for the previous 5 or 6 years.
But in other states, they're doing the levels. So it's not parents aren't involved in other states as well, but somehow the levels are higher.
7360300 is the number to call here this morning on Top Story, and we have State of the City coming up at 9 o'clock. We'll talk to Twin Falls City Councilman Greg Lanting, we believe is the one coming in today. But we may find out for sure. But
no, it is Greg.
It's
Greg.
Oh,
yeah.
you found out for
yeah,
sure.
I did.
Okay, very good, very good. Right now we have Dr. Zygmunt Santos with us. Dr. Santos is running for the CSI Board of Trustees, and that election, of course, coming up at the general election. Good morning.
Good morning,
Doctor. Nice to have you here with us this morning.
Good morning, Kelly and Jill. Thanks for having me.
Yes.
I'm very honored to be here, and very honored to run for Board of Trustees for CSI. Twin Falls in the Magic Valley has been our home for the past 24 years, and the community was just fantastic, taking us in with open arms. And one word comes to mind for this community is gratitude. We're very, very grateful to be here. We started our education at CSI. I was accepted to veterinary school after a year and a half being at CSI, and returned back here and trying to serve the community ever since. We have contributed in many different ways possible. I work every day to give back to the community, to help homeless pets for the Humane Society, contributed to numerous causes, fundraisers for the Twin Falls Animal Shelter, for the Quick Response Unit, Women's Shelter, CSI Foundation.
Because you and your wife came here as refugees, in case people didn't know that.
Yes, we came here as political asylum seekers. We were assigned to Twin Falls, Idaho. We didn't know much about the community, and when we came here, we literally were blown away by the generosity of the public, random acts of kindness toward us. I could sit here all day and talk to you about it, but many times when we got home and we kind of looked at our daily events, we were crying literally, because people were so generous toward us, and we'd like to repay, and we'd like to be part of this community. It's our home.
Well, sometime soon, I'd like to have you back in just to talk about your background, because I think it's very interesting.
Love to.
Yeah, I think
love to.
I love to hear stories of success like that. While we're here right now, most people know that there is a lawsuit situation going on between your wife, Edith Santo, and CSI. Some people might say that the reason you are running for a position on the board of directors is maybe as retribution, and maybe even call it a conflict of interest,
or revenge,
or whatever. You fill in the blank.
Let me go ahead and start with the beginning. There's a tort claim filed. It is a claim basically stating that if there will be wrongdoings, the judge and the jury gets a chance to weigh in on that. my name is on the tort claim. I support my wife 100% in her endeavor. She's a great person. She was very, very dedicated to CSI. She worked tirelessly. Her tort claim is a great example of some of the questions that came up with CSI as, what's going on there? Why is an employee of 17 years who has perfect record suddenly being pushed out of there, and what brought it on? And that kind of brings me to explain my quest in running for the board. There's no revenge. It is the saying that it takes many more muscles to frown than to smile. It takes a lot more effort to do something in revenge. I have absolutely no feelings of revenge, and just for just kind of to put it out there, Edith was the last person to know that I'm going to run for board. This was an independent decision of mine. Also, it is a known fact that when Bill Babcock retired from the college board a number of years ago and Dr. Frost was elected, I applied. This is not just something that I came up with overnight. I do ask the same questions of why are things happening at CSI, and try to look into who is responsible, and why some of the public statements, public actions don't really match the facts. I feel that every voter, every taxpayer should be able to know these facts. We have elected officials. You ask questions, and they will either respond to you in most of the cases, well, it's confidential, or at the advice of the council, whoever that may be, CSI's council, the insurance company's council, they will not answer questions. And the public should know. That is the day-to-day business at CSI, unfortunately. They have more executive meetings than public meetings. Last year, there were 12 public meetings and over 20 executive sessions. The business of CSI is being conducted in public, should be conducted in public. It is conducted in executive session,
which are not open to the public.
They are not open to the public, and
that,
unfortunately, based on how they are conducted and what is the press release, is always the same. If you look at the description of what they discuss, there's a typo in it, and that typo gets copy pasted from meeting to meeting to meeting. That tells you that there is really absolutely there should be a topic. They talk about personnel matters, should be some description. Don't give the facts. Yes, it's confidential. There is a degree of confidentiality that has to be kept. However, you should have some form of a summary of what was discussed so the public actually knows about it. Not every public meeting should be preceded by an executive session. People come out of there, looks like the business is taken care of, and the actions in the public meeting is a bunch of backslapping, attaboy, good job, and that is reflected in the board self-evaluation. The board self-evaluation, if you look at it, you have absolutely no inkling that anything's going on at CSI, that a check has been written, that nobody is standing up and taking responsibility for. The board is quiet under some form of confidentiality agreement. Nobody is really stepping out to say anything. However, that 24-page self-evaluation report that they just bragged about it and they were very happy about 2 weeks ago, they happily signed a contract for $5,000 for it. It cost the college $5,000 to put together 5 board members, self-evaluation, and the president's evaluation. And it's glowing. Doesn't reflect absolutely anything that is happening at CSI.
Does it mention the check? Does it mention the ESPN outside the lines that CSI did not investigate the sexual assault? And now the embezzlement.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And yes, the alleged embezzlement is coming to light approximately 8 weeks after it happened. And that should have been known. I don't understand why Mr. Klankoff last time when he was here did not mention that. I mean, Kelly, you asked, what are the challenges for the CSI board? and he brought up only one thing, and that's the tort claim that is sitting, on the back burner. It's not a lawsuit, and by the way, the tort claim as it sits, it shows lack of due process at CSI. If there would have been due process, instead of meeting at the Red Lion Inn on the 25th of November with the Board of Trustees, with the attorneys, with Dr. Fox, Curtis Eaton, and the board's insurance attorney, there would have been no tort claim. If CSI would have policy in place, would have followed Title IX, would have implemented Title IX like it was supposed to be, there would be no tort claim. Everything should have been taken care of. Those were very, very legitimate questions that Edith asked. She wanted to be treated equal.
Yeah.
As soon as Curtis Eaton took over as interim president, the boys were meeting. Curtis, Jeff Fox, and Mike Mason. She was left out of decisions. She was left out of meetings. She went in and asked, "Why am I treated differently?" Curtis Eaton's exact words were, "I'm going to treat you fair, but not equal." How can a person who has a law degree say that and is in charge of 1,000 employees at CSI? How does that reflect on the rest of the employees at CSI? What kind of due process they have? Goes to the HR, and the HR director says, "This is above my pay grade." Why would it be above his pay grade? His job is to be there and to make sure that things like this don't happen to any employee at CSI. What kind of assurances have the rest of the employees have at CSI that their contract will be respected? If they do a good job, they will be doing that good job, for as long as they want it, or as long as CSI, provides the conditions for them to be there and work. There would be no tort claim. That should have been resolved. Nobody expressed, Jeff Fox got elected, never ever talked to Edith about his expectations. What kind of future leader of the college is he? He, obviously the board gave him the highest salary of any new president in 37 Mountain West colleges. He basically is the 5th highest paid president amongst those colleges, while College of Western Idaho's president gets somewhere about $175,000. Northern Idaho's president gets about $160,000, and he gets $202,000. He still has training wheels on. The problem that I found, I was hoping that, once the check is presented to the CSI, to the community, he stands up and says, "This is why we give it. We had a good reason to give it, although it's not in the contract."
This is the check for Coach Cox, in case people aren't familiar
That's
with
correct.
that. Yes.
We wrote a $146,000 check, and this is why we did it. It wasn't in a contract, but whatever. Misunderstandings or things that came up. I mean, I'm not going to speculate why it was given, but somebody to get a check like that should probably have some leverage on people paying him.
How do you think you can make a difference if you're elected to the CSI board?
By doing what the board's supposed to do. The board is there to formulate policies and make sure that they supervise implementation of that policy. And it is a very, very it is a tedious process. It is a very important process, and also it is very, very important to do it right. By implementing policies, the IOUs won't count anymore. You cannot have a person presenting you IOUs and say, "Hey, you owe me for," remember? You cannot have nepotism. Nepotism is rampant at CSI.
And that was one of the things he ran on, that he was going to deal with nepotism, or Carl Kleinkoff, your opponent, but I don't think anything has been done.
Well, the nepotism policy still stays as it was in 2000, and not just that, but my feeling is that he ran on nepotism. Once he got in there, realized that it's happening on the board level. The chairman of the board and his son, they kind of go hand in hand. But I think what he did, he got in there, he looked at it, and he liked it. There was a leverage that you can work with the rest of them and left it the way it is. I mean, that's just not right.
Do you think you'd be outnumbered if you were going to be one of the five of the one?
One out of the five. I mean, obviously, of course, I know I'm outnumbered. However, it only takes one person to start doing the right thing. And if you stay the course and go with that, pretty soon the culture at the college will change. There's only so many times, if decisions are made, and everybody tries to emphasize that there are no decisions made in executive session. I'm sure that they're walking out of there knowing who's going to say what based on what they're talking about. So it's very easy to vote. I see the business of the public as it should be discussed in public and have community members invited and be there. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with having community members come in and listen to the budget being presented with no actual numbers?
Dr. Santo, we're out of time, but thanks for coming in.
Wow.
It goes quickly.
It goes fast, doesn't it?
Best of luck.
We appreciate you coming in. We'll have you back. We want to talk about your background.
Thank you. I'd love to be back.
All right,
Thank you
very
very
good.
much.
Thank you.
And coming up this next hour, we have Greg Lanting on the Twin Falls City Council for State of the City right here on Top Story. And welcome back to Top Story. 7360300 is always the number to call. And welcome back, Jill.
Thanks, Kelly. Same to you.
60 today, right now. Supposed
Wow.
to get up, to high 80s, lower
It's
90s?
yeah, hot.
Holy
First few
smokes.
days of fall, so hot.
Yeah.
Weird.
It's kind of typical, I guess.
What do you call this, Indian summer?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Indian summer. That's exactly right.
Well,
I don't know.
derogatory or not.
Oh.
Native American.
Probably
It's Native American summer to you.
Yeah, right. Somebody will be
As
offended
long as
by
it's
it.
not Redskin summer, I guess we're
that's
good.
true.
Anyway.
Well, hey, we have Twin Falls City Councilman Greg Lanting as our guest this morning on State of the City. Good morning, Greg.
Good morning.
Well, gosh, there just hasn't been much happening lately here in the town, except a water main break.
I know. What's going on?
Well, they're still repairing. There's actually there's actually three major water lines in that intersection. There's a 12-inch, a 24-inch, and a 30-inch. And the 30-inch and the 12-inch both have ruptured. We're not sure what caused what. They're still investigating what caused the break. Obviously, one probably caused the other. I doubt both of them failed on their own. One broke, and then the other one broke because of it. But it certainly caused a problem. The 30-inch water line is the one that pumps water from Blue Lake's water all the way to the south tanks to blend to get below the arsenic level. The 12-inch is more of a local service line to the area. That's the reason you still have a few people still out of water. And we had the boil order because it got too low for the EPA, the water pressure I'm talking about. As it turned out, they probably didn't have to boil, but you're always safe on those kinds of things. You want to make sure that everybody's taken care of.
I would still be boiling.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you
I'm a little
don't
bit,
anyway.
Well, we're on a well, so we got our water tested.
Our tests have shown there's no bacteria in the water.
Was it the new pipes? People are curious because they just had that whole redo on Washington like the last couple of years, and they're like, was it the new pipes? What's going on here?
One of the pipes that ruptured was the new pipe, but whether it was the cause or the 12-inch ruptured and then caused a washout around it to cause the other one to fail, we're not certain at this point. But the 30-inch water line was one of the two that failed.
And are those big blue plastic things?
Right.
Okay, so is that disconcerting?
Well, it's disconcerting because it's fairly new, but if it wasn't the cause, it's not concerning. The other line has been in there for quite a while. And
so that was the older one and metal?
Older line. And, you like I said, we're still doing the investigation, trying to figure out what occurred. They're more worried about getting water service back to everybody and getting the intersection open and things right now than they are what caused it. They took pictures as they took it apart, everything, so they could use whatever evidence. They take this back to engineering, probably JUB, who was the original contractor on the 30-inch line. No, not the contractor, excuse me, the engineering company on it. Work together with them and see whether we can figure out what happened. Apparently, it is unrelated. You remember that 30-inch line also broke down by Glambia.
Right.
Right. It possibly could be unrelated or possibly related. We'll have to wait. We'll have to work and find it out. And if we can prove that it's something wrong with that 30-inch line, we'll probably go back on the contractor. But again, 2 years later, that's pretty tough to do. So we'll just have to go forward.
Well, is there a concern because I know they're putting in that line like near Cliff Bar right now? Like, do you think it's a concern with the product? Because if you're starting to put that in everywhere and say it only can handle the stuff for 2 years, I mean, is that a concern? Because it could be the product.
Well, if it is product, I mean, this is a product that's, we don't go outside the thing. We're usually using the same product everybody else uses, and we haven't heard about that.
If it's a product, everybody's got a problem.
Right,
then,
everybody's got a problem. I haven't heard that to be the case. It's normally more if you do get a problem and you can find problem, it's usually because the bedding was not of the correct material or that it wasn't packed correctly around it, so that there's things. Sorry, I'm having trouble with my earphones here.
Oh,
trying to fall off my ears. But I don't know. Like I said, we're still researching all of that as best we can. Right now, I mean, our crews have been. Some of them worked almost 30 hours in a row, 36 hours in a row. Some of them got an hour or two sleep in between there. So they've been working full time. We sent them home last night because we were at a point where they had put some concrete in. They needed to give it a chance to cure for a little bit before they move forward. So they did get them home last night, but they were back there first thing this morning working on it. And we have all of our public works department is there working on it. We have your streets department there. You have our water department there. We have our wastewater crews there as well because there are wastewater lines in there as well. I want to make sure those are taken care of. So it's been a pretty good team effort, and we'll, like I said, hopefully we can find out what was the cause. Because start replacing 30-inch water lines very often. That can pump a lot of water in a hurry.
Right.
You bet.
Yeah.
You bet. As that starts running down the street, and you got a real big problem.
Right.
As far as you said, some people are still without water. About how many and how long will it be?
I think we have 9 households and 2 businesses is what the last thing I had heard that they're without water, and that's a fluid thing. I'm hoping I assume they're between the 2 valves. In other words, you shut it off and you shut it off on the 12-inch line, and they're the ones in between. And as soon as you can get it repaired, then they'll be back.
Okay.
They interviewed the people at the Shell station. They're like, how's business been? They look at this report like, what are you, nuts? Slow. We have no water for the sodas, coffee. Our toilets don't work. What do you think? I mean, basically, you want to say, what do you think? They're pretty much shut down.
Buy a lottery ticket. That's about it.
Yeah, there you go.
Were any houses damaged at all?
I think there was some minor flooding on 2 houses, but I don't have any details on that. But I believe there was 2 minor damage on 2 households.
So, any kind of a timeline on when this will all be wrapped up? When will
I imagine the street we're hoping though that we'll have water back to everybody and things hopefully sometime today, but that's just a guess on my part. Probably be early next week before the intersection's completely repaired. And that is a very busy intersection. It's part of Idaho Highway 74 as well as a major arterial both ways. In the city of Twin Falls, you see how many people that go down Orchard and go down Washington on a daily basis. It's pretty busy.
Now, they just got that new section of Orchard put in there, that last quarter of a mile.
Right. And I kind of assumed going in when I first heard about it, because we get emails right away about things, and I thought, well, maybe it was from that construction. They don't believe so. They don't believe it's construction. I thought maybe they were extra packing at the road or something like that. But the barrels are still there. I don't think they've just barely buttoned that up. Within the last month. So,
don't you love when that happens?
We have
the project that'll never end.
You have to tear out brand new pavement you just put in.
I know, but that's always the way it is, though.
Yeah.
But in a new road, and the first thing they do is go in and start digging holes in it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, we really went to a zone maintenance thing where if we're going to replace a water line, a sewer line, it's replaced in the same areas that we're doing street work. There's 8 zones around the city. We really worked to try to have that be the case so that we're not doing exactly what you're saying. You put in a brand new road and then you go in a year later and put a sewer line in.
Yeah.
None of that makes any sense. So we've really went to a zone process to try to make sure that doesn't happen. Obviously, you have a major water line break, and that all
nothing
goes
you can
out the
do.
window.
Right. What about the? I know we're doing major upgrade on our wastewater treatment plant. How's that coming along?
Well, they're actually ahead of schedule a little bit. The big rains of April or August 6th put them back behind a little bit. They've actually caught back up. Very lucky. Had a pretty good contingency amount of money for contingency for rock, and we only found one about the size of a recliner in the whole process. I mean, they were basically building a huge underground bathtub is what the process is. And it must have been an old sandbar from the river at some point because they were able to do all of that work. They did find some water lines that they weren't expecting. And like
you always find those.
So let's just break those. Maybe that's the problem.
So, but they, they had to reroute those and a few things like that. But for the most part, it's been going along well. We got a date coming up. I think it's the tentative date right now, hopefully I'm getting this date right, October 6th, that we're really asking the public to consider if they need to really go down into the canyon, either to walk or to drive, because they're going to be about a 13-hour time span where there's going to be a loaded concrete truck every 10 to 15 minutes going down the grade. And obviously a loaded concrete truck cannot stop as quickly as you might think. And so if you're walking down there and you manage to step over in front of them, they're not going to be able to stop.
Are they going to close it to the public?
Well, they're looking at it right now. We're working with the contractor, and that's certainly a possibility. We discussed that the other night at the thing, that maybe for that one day, well, actually 2 days, because they'll do it in 2 separate pours, but that they may decide, say, hey, we're just not going to allow pedestrians that day. And that's what I'm pushing for.
That would be down the grade?
Down the grade. Walk down the grade. I think we can give up our opportunity to exercise on that particular spot one or 2 days just until we get this done.
Yeah.
We don't
just for safety, because there are, I mean, there's baby carriages, there's dogs, there's people.
Like I said, a loaded concrete truck going down that grade will not be able to stop. I mean,
hope they have good brakes.
Yeah, they can get stopped eventually, but not in a timely manner that if somebody stepped out in front of them. So we're looking at that. So they'll if we do close it, they'll post it above the grade for several days ahead of that, saying the grade will be closed on this day to pedestrian traffic, to try to make sure that people are safe. That's the only purpose. And I believe it's October 6th. I could be wrong on that, but that's the date I remember from the meeting Monday night.
All right.
As my old brain, if it still remembers that. But
there was a breakfast today for a healthy initiative or something by the city. It was on the website. What is that?
Actually, it was put on by the Y, and regrettably, because of this cold that I've been battling, I did not make it this morning.
But what is that initiative?
That'd be good. If I'd went to that meeting, I'd be able to tell you.
You didn't know about it? Did the city council decide ahead of time? I mean, someone had to decide it.
Wasn't the council's thing. We were there to learn. The Y is the YMCA who's the one who's organizing it, and I believe it's just a whole program to get people more active in the Magic Valley. My apologies, I don't have enough information on it to.
Oh, because it was on the website, so I thought, well, maybe it was obvious. There was some announcement.
Well, a lot of council members going to be there, so we actually announced it as a meeting because we would be there. But I didn't make it. This cold has been knocking me, and when my alarm went off, I said, no, I'll wait and go to radio at 9. That's all I'm going to be able to make.
Now, speaking of meetings, do we have any meetings coming up for the downtown renovation thing, or is that not your?
Well,
you're kind of looking at me with.
I'm trying to remember the dates. Yes, there are meetings coming up, and I don't have those at the top of my head either. I don't have any notes here. You'll notice I'm just.
I noticed that.
No notes today.
It's probably on the website, the city website.
I'm sure it is on the website.
I'm sure it's probably on here.
And I was looking at my phone here. I thought maybe our PIO officer might send me those dates if he has
like
them.
No. I think for some reason, because I went to the first one, maybe is it the week of October 13th? Does that sound familiar?
That sounds familiar to me as well. I was at the first one as well, but I just don't remember the exact date of the.
Because this is important to get public input.
Oh yeah, we want a lot of public input for them to come down and tell us what they want downtown to look like, and because we're spending a lot of money down there, and we want to get it correct.
Yeah.
Things. So,
all right.
Oh, I just got a text here. We'll see what.
Oh, okay. Because we got about 10 seconds.
Activate Magic Valley is what it says is one of our strategic planning partnerships. We remember our strategic plan.
Yes.
We asked for a lot of.
It said a new health initiative, Activate Magic Valley. Yeah.
Right. And I'm certainly it's to get the city and the Magic Valley moving, get out activities that everyone can do.
Oh my! How boring!
And this is the city's initiative. This is the city's strategic plan.
This is the city's strategic plan that
we're out of time. Thanks, Greg.
Greg, feel better.
Sorry,
okay.
I'll come better prepared next time.
Welcome back. 736-0300 is always the number to call here on Top Story. Yesterday's $100 instant winning name is Helen Giles.
Helen Giles. Congratulations.
You like the way I pronounce those?
Helen
Giles.
How do you spell Giles?
Giles.
That's what I thought.
And your $100 word of the day for today is space.
Space.
The final frontier.
Space.
S-P-A-C-E.
Space.
You can go to our website at newsradio1310.com, click on Word of the Day, type in space, S-P-A-C-E. Listen tomorrow. If you hear your name tomorrow and you played the Word of the Day today, then you win $100.
That's how easy that is. You just got to play.
That's
it's
right.
Like the lottery.
It's like the lottery. The lottery.
Which we're all doing because, and we only do it out of fear. I only play this lottery out of fear because I don't want to be the only one here when everyone else wins.
See, that's just it. If one person plays the lottery at your place of work, you think, oh my gosh, if they should win, they'll be gone.
Yeah.
And I'll have to do their stuff and my stuff too. So you go in with them and buy a ticket so that if they win and they leave, then you can leave too. And then everybody else, it just kind of spreads exponentially. So all of a sudden, you have most of the staff at your place of work getting in on this lottery pool.
Yeah.
Because...
Out of fear.
Out of fear.
It's out of fear.
That's what it is, yeah.
It's not out of joy. It's out of fear. And then I find out one day I didn't play it. I'm like, oh, please don't win because I didn't play.
Yeah.
And now I say, please remind me when I leave because I usually just skedoot
Because
out
I
of here.
wouldn't be here. Nobody else would be here. You'd
And
be
I'd
coming
show
here
up.
to a locked door and couldn't get in.
Who locks the door? I might come in and it might just be empty and I don't know how to work the board. And, you know,
That's right.
I will have taken over the radio station. So I'm sure my listeners would say, please play because we don't want that to happen.
I know.
Let's make everyone's eyes bleed.
7360300 is the number. Top story. You were on the air. Good morning.
Before your guest came on, you guys were talking about teachers' salaries.
Yep.
We're not out of line. If anything, we're out of line in the other direction. If you look at any professional, anyone that had to go to school, they are lower than the national. Well, if you look at the more wealthy neighborhoods, I guess, I don't know how you want to phrase it, but we're nowhere near the lowest when you compare it to income versus cost of living versus just plain a good place to live. If you don't like it, you can leave, but I wouldn't recommend it because you go to these places that pay high wages, you have very high taxes, like very high. If you look at Forbes' website, they actually have a chart on there that shows Idaho's pretty much in the middle. We're not out of line.
Well, we're losing a lot of teachers.
My wife's an RN. She went to school longer than most teachers have to go to school, and she got paid basically the same. But she had to work 12-hour shifts. She had to work all year round. She didn't get a summer. There is no... My recommendation to anyone that is looking at being a teacher, don't listen to all the garbage. Don't listen to all the people that are so negative because they're going to steal your joy. If you love teaching, go teach. Be a teacher. It's a good profession.
Yeah.
I looked up to all my teachers.
But I don't think I think it's a problem to pay our teachers. And you know what? They are underpaid.
I do think that...
And they put a lot out of their own pocket.
I do think that in that debate that Shelley Ibarra had a good point in that there are a lot of teachers who live here for lower pay just because they like living here. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that is a selling point for Idaho. I have talked to countless people who I graduated with who left the area for that big money. And many of them say, you know what, I'm going to get back to Idaho as soon as I can. Or they say, you know what, I should have never left.
But you know what, why do you have to, and we had the Department of Labor on yesterday, Marge Schmidt, why, because you want to live where you grew up, do we have to accept the fact that we're being paid less? And I'm sorry, to have a BA in this state and the median average for a woman, which is less than a man, is $38,000. That's not enough. Why should teachers have to take pay cuts because they love the profession, want to live in Idaho? Why can't we, we are losing a lot of teachers. They're having a hard time filling spaces. We've heard that classrooms are bigger. And you know what? Nothing's wrong with paying a teacher a little bit better. Look what they go through.
I realize this got off onto a discussion on how much we pay the teachers, and I don't know if it was a remark that I made or not, but the point I was trying to make is that for most teachers, the teachers that I have met and run into over time, they are not the type of person who will teach worse because they make lower pay. They will teach. They will do their very
I
honest-to-God
know.
best they can for whatever amount of money they're getting,
I
for
know.
whatever amount of money they have to spend when they go to school
I
to make
get
sure their
that.
kids have the supplies.
But nothing is wrong
So-
with paying them better either. And a lot of people do jobs that they love and they give a lot of heart to. And you know what? They can make more. Nothing is wrong. And why demonize teachers? Because they should make a little bit more and have a better salary. What is wrong with that? And I feel like they're demonizing teachers across this country, the unions, the teachers, and you know what? They work their guts out. You know that.
Well, we'll be right back. I want to talk about the Latte salute
Okay.
of our president, all right? 7360300 is the number to call. We'll be right back. 7360300 is the number to call. You've heard us talking about the folks at Clearwater Power Equipment, now in Twin Falls, expanded down from the Wood River Valley area. And they have the Husqvarna line of outdoor power equipment. They also have the Echo brand of which has the best warranty in the business, as a matter of fact. 5-year residential and 2-year commercial. And they also will store your lawnmower over the year, over the wintertime.
That's a great service.
It is. I agree. Mine is sitting outside right now, and I don't know what I'm going to do with it this winter. So
Well, we know where you can go.
I might have to give them a call. 734-7767 is the number to call. They're also at 252 Washington Street in Twin Falls. The folks at Clearwater Power Equipment, stop by. They're there where General Building Supply used to be. Got their equipment all setting up outside there, and you can stop by and visit with them. They are the experts because that's all they deal with. Okay, first of all, the airstrikes Monday in Syria disrupted major terror attacks planned against the U.S. and Western targets, according to Rear Admiral John Kirby, a Pentagon spokesman. The Khorasan Group, an al-Qaeda-affiliated terror organization, had established training camps in Syria and had been developing improvised explosive devices for use in attacks. The airstrikes hit their camp, according to Lieutenant General William Mayville, Director of Operations for the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Khorasan was nearing the execution phase of attacks against European or American targets, Mayfield said. Mayville, I guess is his name. Last week, James Clapper, the Director of the National Intelligence, said that the group posed a more direct threat to targets in the USA than Islamic State fighters did, which is kind of interesting. Now, in and about and around and through all of this, President Obama has been involved in this. And while getting off a helicopter on Monday, his Marine One, he did what has been dubbed and has gone viral on all the social media sites as the Latte salute.
Mm-hmm.
He was, trying to button his jacket with his left hand.
With his left hand, because his jacket started to blow open, and you see him he couldn't get it thing, and he had his coffee in the right hand.
In his right hand, so he saluted with the right hand full of coffee to the two Marines who were sitting there saluting him as he exited Marine One. That actually has gone viral. I don't know, my real quick retort on that is, if you are not going to salute correctly, then don't salute at all.
Well, it's probably a habit at this point, and you're just used to doing that. And you could see he's trying to button his jacket, but he would have gotten in trouble for not saluting.
You can't justify it. You can't.
I can justify it.
No, you can't. No, there's no way you can justify this salute to the Marines.
This is not required.
Right. I'm sorry. Okay.
I think it's not required.
That's true. It is not, and that's the point I was wanting
but
to get to. But I am
not
doing it to excuse him for that.
But if he didn't salute at all, that would be a huge problem anyway.
I think people would forgive him more for that than
people don't forgive him for anything.
It wouldn't have gone anywhere if he hadn't saluted.
It doesn't matter.
Here's the deal.
Oh, are you kidding me? It would have gone everywhere if he hadn't saluted.
Even former 5-star General Dwight Eisenhower did not salute the troops as president. About the tradition, Ronald Reagan said, he's the one who actually started this tradition. He says, "I never ceased to enjoy reviewing our men and women in uniform, and hope I started a new tradition for presidents. As commander-in-chief," says Ronald Reagan, "I discovered it was customary for the uniformed men and women to salute whenever they saw me. When I'd walk down the steps of the helicopter, for example, there was always a Marine waiting there to salute me. I was told presidents were not supposed to return salutes, so I didn't. but this made me feel a little uncomfortable. Normally, a person offering a salute waits until it is returned, then brings down his hands. Sometimes, I realized, the soldier, sailor, marine, or airman giving me a salute wasn't sure when he was supposed to lower his hand. Initially, I nodded and smiled and said hello and thought maybe that would bring down the hand, but usually it didn't. Finally, one night, when Nancy and I were attending a concert at the Marine Corps headquarters, I told the Commandant of Marines, I know it's customary for the President to receive these salutes, but I was once an officer and realized that you're not supposed to salute when you're in civilian clothes. I think there ought to be a regulation that the President could return a salute inasmuch as he is Commander-in-Chief and civilian clothes are his uniform. Well, if you return a salute, the General said, I don't think anyone would say anything to you about it. So that's how the tradition got started. So he said the next time I got a salute, I saluted back. A big grin came over the Marine's face, and down came his hand. From then on, I always returned salutes. When George Bush followed me into the White House, I encouraged him to keep up the tradition. Since that time, we have begun seeing presidents becoming more paramilitary by donning pieces of the military uniform, such as a military flight jacket, while on board Air Force One. President George W. Bush took this a step further, donning an entire Navy flight suit uniform, complete with insignia and a decorated aircraft for his now infamous Mission Accomplished speech. So the moral of the story,
remember that one.
The moral of the story is, if you're going to salute, do it properly, or don't do it at all. I don't think there's a problem with that. And we'll be right back on Top Story. 736-0300 is the number to call before we get back to our discussion here on the Latte salute. What do you think? I mean, should he have done it right or not done it at all? Or should we just accept that it's better for him to have tried? 736-0300 is the number. Infrared Baron. You've heard us talking about this. Far More of Idaho does overflights of your fields. They take infrared photography. They take these pictures, they upload them to your computer. You can look them over. You can see for yourself, getting that bird's eye view of how your irrigation system is doing on your field. And you may find some things that will need adjustments or correcting. You might find you have to do some maintenance on your irrigation system because some parts that you thought were getting wet are not getting all that wet. And some parts that you thought were just right may be getting too wet. Ask them about it at Far More of Idaho. This doesn't cost. It pays.
That's right.
Ask them about it, 324-3341. That's Infrared Baron through Far More of Idaho. 736-0300. They couldn't wait.
What? How
That's
could
kind of a
wait?
long break sometimes.
It
We got
is a
another
long
one here,
break.
though. Top story, you were... No, they couldn't wait either. Okay, well, we'll try this one. Top story, you were on the air. Good morning.
George Bush did the same thing with a dog in his hand, so we shouldn't get too critical. I saluted an officer one time with a cigarette in my mouth, and I heard about it for a week.
You did, yeah.
We should pick on the big things, not the little things.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thanks for the call.
I agree.
All right, so shouldn't go there. Okay, now I'm just telling you, I am not the one who made this go viral. This is viral.
And who made it go viral?
So,
Fox News or something?
No, it was just people who were
I'm
concerned
sure just
about
people.
that.
Some people thought it was cute.
Really...
It was on ABC News. They thought it was cute. They dubbed it the Latte salute.
Latte salute.
But you know what? I'm sure it's a habit at this point, and you could see he was adjusting his button. And so I think it would have been more problematic if he didn't salute, because then people say, like, he doesn't care about the military and they're fighting right now. You can't tell me they wouldn't have. Are you kidding me?
I wonder what would happen if you were a private and you tried saluting a general with a cup of coffee in your hand.
The other thing is, I didn't notice them putting their salute down, the Marines, afterwards. They still held it, so I don't, they hold it.
Maybe they didn't consider it a legitimate salute. I don't know.
Please.
736-0300. Top story, you're on the air. What do you think?
Hello?
Hello. I think Jill, who probably was never in the service, shouldn't comment on things she doesn't have knowledge about.
I can comment on anything I want.
I was not in the service either.
Kelly
so
wasn't in the service
You can't just
either.
blame her.
Yeah, but it means something to people that were in the service.
Kelly wasn't in the service.
Well, I don't care, but he can still honor it.
What?
So you think that it was a bad salute, right?
I think it was atrocious. I didn't mind when he didn't salute at all. Well, when he salutes that's almost as bad as Curtis LeMay having a cigar in his hand when he saluted. But he didn't do that.
Yeah.
I think it would have been
enough said.
Okay, thanks.
I think it would have been
that.
worse if he didn't salute. Then people would have been outraged. And I think if he had his jacket buttoned faster, he would have switched and saluted. But you could see him struggling, and Michelle was right behind him on the stairs. So, you know what? My gosh, there's more important things. We're at war, and we're talking about that. It's really pathetic.
736-0300, top story. You're on the air. What do you think?
I think he probably should have been squared away before he got off the chopper and probably shouldn't have had a cup of coffee in his hands in the first place.
Or maybe at least in the other hand. Huh?
And he is the commander-in-chief, and I'm sorry if it started under Reagan. He decided to start doing that, but it became policy, basically. And if your hands are full, no, you do not salute. But he should be squared away as soon as he gets off that chopper because the cameras are on him, period. And his suit is his uniform. That's what he wears. And if it isn't on right, we're going to comment. The ones that were in the military are going to comment. When he's wearing laxy-daisy stuff in the office, we're going to comment because that is his uniform.
Yeah, okay.
Well, he had a suit on, and the jacket was, you can see, he's trying to button it.
Well,
so, you know what?
It's his uniform.
But you stand up. Well, you know what? So he wasn't. How many times has he saluted properly? My gosh. And then the one time, if he didn't salute, I guarantee you it would have been a bigger issue, and we would have heard how much he doesn't respect. Are you kidding me?
I don't think it would have.
Get real. Are you kidding me? If he didn't salute, are you kidding me?
I don't think
there is a mock video.
There
is a mock video out there of him not having his hand over the chest, and they said it was because it was the Pledge of Allegiance. It wasn't. They were playing Hail to the Chief, and you don't salute yourself during Hail to the Chief, and it has been dubbed and mocked and edited so it looks like he's not saluting, and that was a huge
all
hubbub.
I'm saying is there's a lot of people upset about this.
The Republicans would be upset over everything. You know, it started with the Republicans. My gosh,
absolutely.
How could it not?
Stinking Republicans.
No one else would be that. No one else would be that petty. You guys are the party of petty.
736-0300, top story. You're on the air.
Good morning.
Jill's party of petty comment just kind of sealed the deal for me.
It's petty.
Hey, Jill, just listen. I'm actually going to agree with you.
Stop. You're kidding.
Yeah, seriously. Sometimes I think I'm sometimes liberal even. No, not really. So here's the deal. It doesn't matter. And every time we focus on this stuff, it steals the wind out of our sails when we actually have something legitimate to complain about.
Bingo.
And to those people who say you have to have been in the military to comment on the military, that's ridiculous just as much as it is to say I can't comment on abortion because I'm not a woman. I'm a man. I can make a baby. I can help make the baby. I do have a right to comment on abortion. I have the right to comment on all this stuff. And to say you can't comment because you're not.
Gotta go. Thanks, man. Here's the Huckabee Report. You can hear the Huckabee Report each weekday at this time, brought to you exclusively by Waddell & Reed, Laura Nelson, Josh Funk, and Steve Stanger, financial advisors. Number is 736-6563. Just wanted to briefly again tell you about Bras Across the Canyon. It's an event to bring awareness to Breast Cancer Awareness Month, which is October. This is coming up on October 4th from noon until 3 o'clock, and sponsored by Arlo G. Lott Trucking Company, also sponsored by South Central Public Health, Glanbia, and free food from Chick-fil-A. Lots of stuff going on. We have the information on our website at newsradio1310.com.
That's right.
Now, you, being a Jew. Yeah.
Tonight is the start of Rosh Hashanah, the high holidays. You know, you guys always think Hanukkah is such a big deal. It's not. These are the big deals. Rosh Hashanah is the, they call it actually the head of the year. So it's really, that's what it literally means, Rosh Hashanah, head of the year.
This is kind of your new year,
This is the new year. And the new year is, are you waiting for it? 5,775. That is the anniversary of Adam and Eve.
That's
the start. That's it. And then 8 days later, we have Yom Kippur, which is really the holiest of the days. It's the Day of Atonement. And anyway, so
Yom Kippur is kind of like, what, a Christian's Easter? Maybe?
No, I mean, you atone for everything that you've done. I don't think that's what Easter is.
Well, actually, kind of
you
sort of
don't have to compare them.
No, I'm just trying to put it in perspective
for a
lot of people.
It's just like the New Year, and then you have your Day of Atonement, and these are the holiest days of the year. These are the holiest holidays for Jews. It's not Hanukkah. It's not Passover. It's not Sukkot. So anyway, and it's the start of the year, and it changes all the time, the dates, because we are on a lunar calendar, not a the other calendar. So anyway, it's a lunar, so it changes.
Okay.
And that's why they are different each year. The different holidays change like that. So tonight, I would go to services, but we don't have them right here, and we have someone coming in tomorrow, so I will be here tomorrow. But normally I would not be at services, and you can do it online. So I can. Are you okay?
Yeah, I was just looking at the black spot on the wall over there.
I'm so glad you were listening to what I was saying.
I was actually. I'm sorry. You just took my.
Anyway, so you can do services online as well, which is nice because you can follow it. Or there's a synagogue in Boise, but it's a conservative synagogue, and it's all done in Hebrew. Or you can go to Sun Valley, and they do it in is it the St. John's Episcopal Church?
Could
St.
be.
John's.
Sounds right.
So anywho, tonight is the New Year. So Happy New Year to the Jew crew in Twin.
So I guess I can say to you,
Happy New Year.
See you tomorrow. See you next year.
Happy New Year. It starts tonight at sundown, which all of our holidays do.
Well, thank you for getting us up to date on that. That's interesting information.
So everyone who has those 2 words on your calendar, you now know what it means.
Tomorrow we have
AJ Belukoff and Bert Marley, who's going to be the governor and lieutenant governor candidates.
Okay.
So
that's tomorrow, and also the Cops of the Bad Guys list.
And Linda for Habitat for Humanity.
Okay,
Linda
very good.
Fleming.
Oh, man. So we got a busy day tomorrow.
We do.
We'll see you tomorrow here on Top Story. Goodbye, Jill.
Bye, Cal.